All right, we finally got our first win of the season, but are we really back?
The other team's quarterback must go down, and he must go down hard.
And as always, we start on the defensive side of the ball. We're going to be doing our game review here. The first key to the game that I want to talk about was stopping this run game of the Denver Broncos. I thought this was one of the bigger keys to the game. Javontewilliams, the two-headed monster with Melvin Gordon. I wanted to see less than 100 combined yards from rushing yards from the both of them, and less than 70 rushing yards from Javonte himself. And this is where we were. He only had 28 rushing yards. Granted, he was hurt second half, knee injury. Unfortunately for him, it looks like he might be out for the season, but we did hold the team down to 85 combined yards, including the big fumble for the touchdown off of Melvin Gordon. What other grade can I give than an A on that? My only thing was second quarter, they started getting the running game going a little bit more with Javonte. Unfortunately for the Broncos, he got hurt in the second half and they had to go to Boone, and the running game just wasn't there. My second key to the game, as far as the defense goes, this is an overall defense, and this is what I wanted to see from the entire defense. I wanted to see at least 3 sacks, less than 18 first downs, and no red zone touchdowns. Of course, I haven't had a whole lot of sacks this season, and I was figuring with this offensive line, we should be able to get some, especially interior. What we actually got was 3 sacks, and that was 2 from Crosby, 1 from Nate Hobbs blitzing. Unfortunately, Chandler Jones off the sheet again as far as sacks goes. We only gave up 12 first downs in the game. That was excellent, but we did give up 2 red zone touchdowns, including the one to Russell Wilson late in the game, trying to gin up his old magic. So I got to give this one a B overall. The one that kind of marks it down for me is those 2 red zone touchdowns. I talked about this in my game preview. Broncos were dead last in red zone touchdown percentage at 14%. They actually got 2 in this game. So overall, I'm going to give the defense an A-. Of course, they got that defensive touchdown. They only held them to 7 points in the second half. But again, those red zone touchdowns, I think they're going to knock it off a little bit. I couldn't give a full A to this, but still well done overall to the defense. A very solid game, even when the offense was struggling a bit, especially in the second quarter. We'll get to that right now.
And I hear everyone say, take what they give you. We're going to take what we want.
Now, as far as the offensive side of the ball, what I stressed was mainly focusing on the running game. So far this season, we've rushed for 13, 21, and 19 per game. So that was my first key to the game. Get Josh Jacobs and this running game going. What I wanted to see was 25 plus total attempts and over 100 yards combined rushing. And what we actually got was 38 total attempts. That includes Derekcarr. We'll get to him in a minute. And over 200 rushing yards, 212 to be exact. Josh Jacobs, 28 for 144 and 2 touchdowns. Unbelievable. And I said before with Derekcarr, he needs to run the ball 3 or 4 times a game just to keep this defense honest. He actually ran it 7 times for 40 yards. Well done to that. I got to give this an A+. This is exactly what we've been needing to do this entire time, especially that first game against the Chargers. If we pounded the ball and focused on the run game like we did against the Chargers, we would have won that game by double digits. I don't think we would have had 3 interceptions because we would have been running the ball so much. And that kind of goes to my second key to the game. I knew Adams was going to get his. It was a tough matchup back and forth for Surtain. Now, my second key to the game was getting Waller and Matt Hollins going. Now, Hollins had a pretty good game last week. He had over 150 yards and a touchdown. I wanted to see Waller get going. I wanted 15 total targets between the two, 10 receptions, 100 plus yards, and at least 1 touchdown. And what we got with the 2 is 10 targets, 6 receptions, 57 receiving yards, and no touchdowns. I'm going to give this a B-. I probably could have went a little bit lower with this, to be honest with you. However, I could see how the offense was shaping up, basically run heavy, which they should against this team. But still, Waller had another drop ball. He needs to get it together. We gave him that big contract. It's time to step up and perform, to be honest with you. Hollins had a better game in the second half than he did in the first half, but still, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more there. Darby, the corner over here on this side, totally ineffective. I thought we could take him, and we pretty much could. As far as the total offense, give it a grade overall. I'm going to give it a B+. I can't give it an A because we kicked 4 field goals, but overall, we did pretty well. We scored 26 points. That's pretty good. I understand this is a tough defense as far as throwing the ball goes, that we couldn't actually be consistent on getting touchdowns versus field goals.
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing: just win, baby.